The withering tree. It had begun so innocently, an invitation from her parents to spend a weekend at their cabin in the woods, a chance for Ella to get away from the city, to relax and enjoy nature. On the drive, her parents had told her about the forest surrounding their cabin. Old growth, her father had said, a primeval forest, untouched for centuries. As a child, Ella had been afraid of the woods, but now, after years in the city, she longed for something raw, untamed, natural. She had traded in her stilettos for sturdy boots and her cocktail dresses for warm sweaters. She had embraced the outdoors, so when her parents suggested a hike to the old heartwood tree, she had readily agreed. The heartwood was the oldest tree in the forest. It had stood there for over 400 years. Her mother had described it as a sacred place, a place where one could connect with the earth and find peace. The forest was deceptively quiet. The usual symphony of birdsong was replaced by an unsettling hush. The silence pressed against their ears like a physical presence. The trees, tall and thick, formed a dense canopy overhead, shutting out most of the daylight and casting the forest floor in perpetual shade. The air, heavy with moisture, clung to them, dampening their clothes, chilling their skin. Ella quickened her pace, eager to reach the heartwood. Then she noticed her parents lagging behind. Her father, usually so full of boisterous energy, walked slowly with his head bent, his shoulders slumped. Her mother, normally radiant and carefree, shuffled along with downcast eyes. Their hushed voices carried on the wind. "Are you sure about this, John?" Her mother's voice, laced with worry. "We shouldn't have done this. I know it, Martha. But we promised Ella." Ella's heart sank. What had changed her parents? Had the forest, this ancient, silent place, gotten to them somehow? Reaching the clearing, Ella stopped. Before her stood the heartwood. Its vastness was almost overwhelming. Its gnarled branches, thick as pythons, writhed skyward, clawing at the heavens. Its bark, a tapestry of moss and lichen, was as rough and forbidding as the face of an ancient troll. In the clearing, surrounded by the tree's roots, like the bones of some primeval beast, was a circle of standing stones. Her parents were standing inside it. Their backs were to Ella, and they were swaying rhythmically, their arms moving in strange arc-like patterns. Ella hesitated, unsure what to do. The sight before her was both mesmerizing and disturbing. Then, as if sensing her presence, her parents turned. Their faces, usually so alive, so full of light, were now ashen, their eyes blank and distant. They beckoned to her silently. Ella stepped into the circle. Her feet touched a damp stone, and the world tilted on its axis. The forest held its breath. The tree pulsed with an unseen energy, and in the clearing, under the watchful gaze of the gnarled heartwood, Ella's life changed forever. Months passed. Autumn had yielded to winter, blanketing the forest in a pristine white silence. Each day, Ella delved deeper into the rituals of the cult. Each day, the forest's hold on her tightened, constricting her life, squeezing out everything but the ritual and the tree. She was gaunt now, her once vibrant hair a tangled mess, her eyes hollowed pits of endless night. She was a withered husk of her former self. The other members of the cult, drawn to her vulnerability, welcomed her fully. They called her the Withering One, and it was during one of these rituals, as the forest hummed around them and the heartwood pulsed with ancient power, that the high priestess, an ancient woman with eyes like chips of ice, proclaimed to Ella the new high priestess, the vessel through which the forest's power would flow. But on the night of the full moon, as Ella prepared to lead the ritual, doubt, that insidious serpent, reared its head. Memories flickered. Her life before the forest, her friends, her laughter, the sun on her skin. Fear, sharp and cold, pierced the fog in her mind. She looked at the heartwood, its branches clawing at the moonlit sky, and whispered, "I am the Withering One." The forest was silent. No answer came on the wind. A single tear traced a path down Ella's ashen cheek. The forest waited, and then the nightmare began. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Ella led the cult, her sanity a tattered banner snapping in the winds of madness. The forest thrived, drawing power from the city through the thin, wavering connection to her parents. The elders of the cult, sensing Ella's unraveling, urged restraint, but their pleas were lost in the din of the forest's hunger. The city lights twinkled in the distance, a beacon to the forest's insatiable appetite. The rituals grew bolder, the incursions into the city more daring. The cult, invigorated by Ella's fervor, expanded. New members, drawn by the promise of power and the lure of the forbidden, joined their ranks. Ella, consumed by the forest, saw only darkness and the vast, unending hunger of the tree. But one day, amidst the frenzy, a memory flared, vivid and strong. Her parents, their faces etched with love and worry, calling her name. A single word cut through the din of the forest. The forest recoiled as if struck, and Ella fell to her knees. For the first time in what felt like forever, she saw the forest not as a god, but as a predator. Magnificent, terrible, dangerous. The realization struck her with the force of a physical blow. She had unleashed a monster, and she was its herald. Fear, sharp and cold, returned, and with it, purpose. Ella needed to sever the connection between the forest and the city, to banish the cult, to seal the Heartwood once more. The rituals became her battleground. Every chant, every invocation, a war cry against the encroaching darkness. She fought to reclaim her life, to save her soul. The forest fought back, twisting her memories, showing her visions of a world consumed by darkness, whispering promises of ultimate power. Ella fought on, the forest's whispers fading into the background as the dawn of her new resolve illuminated her path. Finally, under the cold light of the winter moon, Ella stood before the Heartwood. Around her, the cult, sensing the shift in power, snarled and hissed. But Ella was resolute. With a voice that echoed with newfound strength, she declared, "The hunger ends tonight." And then she acted. Quickly, Ella severed the connection between the Heartwood and the city, banishing the cult and sealing the Heartwood once more. But the victory was bittersweet. The forest, starved of its stolen power, reacted violently, lashing out in a tempest of wind and bough. Ella, caught in the maelstrom, felt the forest's fury upon her. But she endured, her body battered, her spirit unbroken. As the storm abated and the first rays of dawn touched the snow-laden branches, Ella knew the battle was won. But the war was far from over. The forest was wounded, its power diminished, but its spirit unbroken. The Heartwood, though sealed, was not destroyed, and Ella knew that the forest, as patient and enduring, would wait for its moment to strike again. And so Ella stayed, bound to the forest by duty and adorning love, determined to protect the world from the primeval darkness that stirred beneath the snow. Sometimes, when the snow fell thick and fast, Ella could hear the forest stirring. A low growl reverberated through the trunks of the ancient trees, and she knew that the forest, though wounded, was not vanquished. The withering tree, she knew, would always be hungry. The night visitor. For generations, the old Victorian house on the hill had stood silhouetted against the twilight sky, a lonely sentinel overlooking the town of Oakhaven. It had been empty for as long as anyone could remember, its windows vacant, eyes staring blankly out at the world. The locals called it Widow's Watch, a grim name that hinted at the secrets buried within its shadowy halls. And those secrets ran deep. The house had once been home to a young couple, Edward and Eleanor Vance. They had been deeply in love, their joy echoing through the halls of the mansion. But tragedy had struck, taking Eleanor away in the dead of night. Grief-stricken Edward had thrown himself into his work, becoming a recluse in his sprawling house. He had refused to leave, even after the townsfolk had pleaded with him to move away, claiming the house was cursed. Then, one stormy night, Edward vanished, leaving behind only a single note: "She has come for me." Soon, sightings of the ghostly couple began to be reported. People claimed to have seen the ethereal form of Eleanor gliding through the house, her mournful cries echoing in the night. Some spoke of a tall, gaunt figure resembling Edward pacing the upper floors, forever searching for his lost love. As the years rolled on, the stories grew, transforming the house into a local legend. Then, one day, a stranger arrived in Oakhaven, tall and enigmatic, with eyes that held a universe of untold stories. He introduced himself simply as Silas. He had heard the legends of Widow's Watch and was intrigued. He purchased the house, intending to restore it and uncover the truth behind the haunting. As the townsfolk watched him move in, their faces a mixture of pity and fear, Silas felt a thrill course through him. He had sought out this mystery, and now he would delve into its depths. Inside the house, he began his investigation, poring over old documents and interviewing the townsfolk. Each story added another layer to the enigma, each face reflecting a lifetime of fear. Yet Silas remained undeterred, driven by an insatiable curiosity. One evening, while exploring the attic, he discovered a hidden compartment containing a diary. The diary belonged to Eleanor, detailing her life in the house, and hinting at a darkness that lurked within its walls. As Silas read on, he realized that Eleanor's story was not one of tragic loss, but of something far more sinister. The entries grew frantic, speaking of a presence in the house, a presence that had wormed its way into Edward's heart, driving him to madness. In the final entry, Eleanor wrote of a terrifying encounter, of a shadowy figure that had visited her in the night, draining her of her life essence. It was then that Silas understood. Widow's Watch was not merely haunted. It was a nexus of darkness, a place where the veil between the worlds was thin, and he had unwittingly stepped through. As the days passed, Silas's health began to deteriorate. He grew gaunt, his eyes shadowed with a nameless dread. He could feel the presence in the house growing stronger, whispering to him in the dead of night. The townsfolk, witnessing his transformation, whispered that the house was claiming its latest victim. But Silas pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. He would confront the darkness, banish it from the house, or die trying.